Happy Monday, everybody. It's Michelle again. Oh, I don't have my one paper with me. Okay, that's okay. I'll wing it. Programming. Thank you for all the calls about specific movies and programs you want to see. I got a lot of positive calls about the Broadway play Present Laughter with Kevin Kline. So this week we have Red on Broadway on Friday afternoon, which is the Tony-winning play about the artist Mark Rothko. And Alfred Molina's in it. I believe he won a Tony. I also have National Theater's Frankenstein, which I watched the other day. Very, very good. Cirque du Soleil Sing-Along. This is the problem when I don't bring my notes, because I'm already working on next week for you. And I can't remember what else. But you all have the calendar. If you didn't get the weekly calendar on your dinner tray on Friday, please call me so I can make sure I send it up to you so you have it. I've also put some more comedies on, some Sid Caesar, The Honeymooners. I look like I'm sweating because I am. I'm in the art room and it's really hot in here. Plus I have the lights and I take my sweater off because the landscapers are outside trimming all the hedges and bushes, so it's too loud for me to even crack a door open. So I'm not nervous, I really am sweating. We know this whole lockdown, isolation, quarantine has gone on for a long time. It's horrible for everybody, we know. If you're having stress, problems, and really feel like you want to talk to somebody, please call that number to talk to a counselor. I don't have it with me because I left those pieces of paper in my office, but if you need the number, please call us. You also got that flyer on your dinner tray last week. Stay safe, stay inside, wear a mask if you're around. This is my mask for today, which matches the blue t-shirt I have on. We miss you. I know you miss us. We're all down here working. If you feel like you need some help with balance, or you feel like your muscles are atrophying, you're not doing exercise, please call Esther at Agility. They are available and they are coming to apartments. Anything else you need, just call us. And we will see you all soon. Okay, before I get into the big things, I'm just going to tell you that when I was 10 or 11, a bunch of us were up at Lake Hopatcong and we were building some kind of fort in this wooded area. And what happened was someone stepped on a beehive. And I was actually swarmed and had all these bee stings. So I'm a little bit afraid of bees. A little bit. If I hear the buzzing, it's like a flashback. But who knew about the murder hornets? Okay, this I'm really afraid of. If anyone hasn't seen them, that is what they look like. Yeah, horrible. They are 2 inches long and they have half-inch stingers. Now, these hornets kill 50 people a year in Japan. And that's not the biggest problem. Not that 50 people dying isn't a bad thing, but what they do is they decimate the honeybee population. So they actually decapitate honeybees. They get in hives, they scout out, go in there, bring their buddies back, and they can actually kill, one of these hornets can kill 40 honeybees per minute. Yeah. When people have gotten stung, the venom is so strong that you get actually like a golf ball size bump on you. So I'm really worried about the Hornets. They can fly 20 miles an hour. So these Hornets are showing up in Washington State. And the concern is the decimation of the honeybee population. So it's like an all-out war now. In the middle of this pandemic, this is happening, and I'm a little concerned about it. If I even see one of these things, I will flip out. So that's something new for us to worry about, the honeybees. The hornets. What else? All right, so where is it? Here. This, I can't even read this to you because it's so horrible. All right, so this morning I have NPR on, and yesterday afternoon, and they're talking about this Trenton councilwoman who went on some kind of homophobic rant against the mayor of Trenton on a conference call about public safety and the coronavirus. So the whole beginning of the call is actually about the police and worried about, since it was getting warm, crime going up. And then they start talking about these nonprofits to assist battered women and things. And this councilwoman then goes on this absolutely insane rant using the F word, every possible curse you can imagine, calling the mayor a pedophile, a drug addict pedophile, excuse me, with some adjectives. So obviously, all kinds of homophobic things, and her name is Robin Vaughn, and apparently she's planning on running for mayor. So that's a little scary. Now, the mayor of Trenton is actually gay. He's out. He was in the legislature, and he came out years ago. So it's no secret that the man's gay, but she's accusing him in this rant of having young boys at his house and all this absolute nonsense. So pay attention, because I feel like this is going to turn into something bigger, and it's certainly a diversion. If anyone is actually interested in the transcript, the Trentonian printed this transcript today, and you can hear it. But like I said, there's so many curses in this that I can't even read it to you. Completely inappropriate, across the board inappropriate. On some level, it's funny. It's almost like the comedian, like a Dave Chappelle joke, but it was real. Governor Murphy announced this morning that the schools are going to be closed through the academic year. Now, that's not really a surprise to any of us, I don't think, but the academic year goes through June, mid-June. So we're at the beginning of May. So that's 6 more weeks. In the meantime, though, they are talking about opening parts of the state. Like the western part of the state has not been hit like we have with the COVID virus. And part of the southern parts of our state, southwest, haven't really been hit. It's really the New York suburbs, and obviously they're not going to open the shore because of crowding. But I was thinking today, when I heard this, though I'm not surprised he's keeping them closed, what if all the schools are closed and you start reopening businesses in some way? What are parents going to do about their kids? If you are not wealthy and suddenly you're paying not just for aftercare, which a lot of schools have, and it's reasonably priced, but you've got to find someone to watch your kids all day if you're going back to work. And I'm not sure that that's been addressed, and I don't know how you can expect parents to go back to work while their kids are home, particularly little kids, completely unattended. And that's not been addressed by the governor or anybody else. And if we're going to pay for some kind of daycare, we certainly don't have the daycare infrastructure or daycare available. So what is going to happen to all these kids? I can see myself, by the way, and my hair is getting way too long. I'm sure all yours is too. And I brought this up before, but it's really driving me crazy today because I can see how long it is. And it keeps falling. Sorry, side note. So what is going to happen to all these kids? I'm not seeing any plan to address that. And, you know, for example, if you work here and you work in the kitchen or the dining room, you know, you work 7 to 4, and you have kids at home, and you haven't been working because the kids are home, what are you supposed to do if you're then told you must go back? And I mean, we can vary people's schedules because we're a 24-hour operation, but if you're talking about going back to an office job, I'm not seeing how that's going to work with so many kids still home. That seems like a recipe for disaster for us. So I hope the governor addresses that soon. Now, not yesterday, Saturday, former President George W. Bush put out a call and a message that said he urged Americans to abandon politics in the face of a shared threat. And he said, let us remember how small our differences are in the face of this shared threat. In the final analysis, we are not partisan combatants. We are human beings, equally vulnerable and equally wonderful in the sight of God. We rise or fall together. The president then, yesterday morning, tweeted out, oh, by the way, I appreciate the message from former President Bush, but where was he during the impeachment calling for putting partisanship aside? He was nowhere to be found in speaking up against the greatest hoax in American history. What is wrong with him? This has nothing to do with him. It is so annoying every day and just infuriating how he turns everything into something about himself. Now, in the past, when we've had any kind of disaster, Sandy, the tsunamis in Asia, 9/11, the sitting president has almost always called the former living presidents and asked them to either raise money, reach out, help, whatever. He has not asked anybody because he said he doesn't need any help, he's doing a great job. But why would you attack George W. for what really is an innocuous statement, sharing concern for all Americans? What is wrong with that statement, and why would you even read that as against you? It's not against you. Everything with this guy. Then, bizarrely, he went after Joe Scarborough this morning via Twitter. I'm not sure why, but in 2001 or 2002, when Scarborough announced that he wasn't rerunning for Congress, there was an intern in his Florida office who was found dead. She was 20-something years old. And it turned out that she hadn't been feeling well, and she had some kind of congenital heart problem that had been diagnosed prior to that. It's what I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the coroner report was that something happened with her heart. She then hit her head, and that's how she died. Now, nobody has ever seriously thought Joe Scarborough was involved in her death. It was in his Florida district office, except the extreme right wing. They've jumped on this. And so this morning, 6:30 in the morning, and I didn't have Morning Joe, I don't even think it starts then, does it? The president tweeted out, Comcast should open a long overdue Florida cold case against psycho Joe Scarborough. I knew him and crazy Mika well, used them beautifully in the last election, dumped them nicely, and will state on the record that he is nuts, besides bad ratings, and then open the Joe cold case. This is what the president is doing at 6:30 in the morning in the middle of an international pandemic. It defies any kind of reason or sanity, and it needs to stop. I just really have stopped completely almost watching the news. I watch like the 6:30 nightly news, local news to see what's going on. I watch Andy Cuomo's press conferences and Phil Murphy's, and that's it, because all of it is this narcissistic news cycling, all being driven by the occupant of the White House, who clearly is insane. And I don't understand how people can honestly watch this and say that this is in any way normal, because it is not. You know that, and I know that. This is not normal. And it's just grown tiresome now. And it's unnecessary. Now, I made a list of all the absolute lies the president has told regarding the COVID virus. Okay, and I'm going to go through a couple of those because he continues to do it. And if you watched his Fox News town hall last night, he claimed that the delay in acting on COVID was because Tony Fauci told him this was just going to bypass us and it wasn't going to be a big deal. Well, we know that's not true. All right. And again, you can support the president, you can support anybody you want, but facts are facts. What is it? You can have your own opinion, but not your own facts. That is not true. Tony Fauci has been warning for years of an international pandemic and saying that America was not prepared. Before Trump was president, since Trump's been president, he has been talking about this for years. And he never said that COVID wasn't going to be a big deal. Before Trump put together his White House team, Fauci was talking about COVID when it was still just in Asia and China, and saying that this was going to be a problem. Now, we all know that. We saw him on TV prior to the occupant of the White House having his daily, shows. So we know that's not true. But what else? What else? Here's my list. Okay, if you remember, he said that the coronavirus would weaken when we get into April, and that the warmer weather has a negative effect on the virus. Well, we're in May, and the numbers are still climbing. He also said the outbreak would be temporary, if you remember. He said it's just going to disappear one day. Like a miracle, it will disappear. He has claimed consistently that if the economic shutdown continues, death by suicide would be greater than the numbers we lose to the COVID virus. Well, the new estimate from the White House today, he's saying 60,000 on Fox News last night, but the White House is saying 100 to 240,000 people could die of this virus in America alone. Well, the last year we have reporting, which is 2017, 47,000 people died of suicide. So where is that number coming from? And the more that you reopen and expose people to this virus, the more likely it is that those numbers will be closer to 200,000 or 300,000 rather than the 100,000 number. So that's ridiculous. He's claimed, and he claimed again last night on Fox News, that his administration inherited a broken and obsolete test for the coronavirus. That's absurd. There was no coronavirus till late last year. So we would have had no test anywhere. There's a lie. He then also said that he always knew this was real. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic, and I always viewed it very seriously. Well, we know that's not true. He told us that this was like the common cold, and the flu. So, does he believe this stuff? So this is what I'm always trying to figure out. Does he actually believe the lies he tells? Or does he not remember what he said before? I'm not sure. Either answer is not good. He's also claimed again last night that this kind of pandemic was something nobody thought could happen. Not true again. Again, Tony Fauci has been warning about this, as have other medical professionals since Ebola. People have been talking about an international pandemic like this. I'm not going to go through all the lies from last night, but there's one other I wanted to bring up, and now I can't find it. Oh, the protesters. I want to talk about them. He said that the protesters were social distancing, were all 6 feet apart, and they were really good people. I didn't see anybody social distancing at those protests. And the president is instigating them to continue to protest, but only against Democratic governors, if you notice, like Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. And as I keep watching these protests, which, by the way, we all know are being funded by right-wing groups, in Michigan, they're being funded by the Michigan Family Council or something, which is Betsy DeVos's funded right-wing group. Her family funds them. So the Secretary of Education is funding protests to march on the Capitol with guns to protest a virus. And that and let's not get this wrong. That's what they're protesting. There is no politician, no responsible politician who would be opening up their state with their numbers climbing and no way to contain and no way to test. That is completely irresponsible government. Now, we see it in Florida, we see it in Georgia. Everyone is predicting those numbers are going to skyrocket, the cases of the coronavirus and deaths, very soon. But they're talking about freedom. Well, see, here's my idea. If you don't think that the governors of your state should close down your government, close down business, really shut down the economy to save people's lives, and you are out not wearing masks, fighting people about wearing masks, carrying guns to the Capitol, all this nonsense, you ought to be carrying a card with you saying, I refuse any medical treatment if I get COVID. And your insurance company shouldn't pay for it. And see, what I think the states ought to enact quickly is a ticketing system. So if you're not social distancing or you're not wearing a mask, if that's the rule in your state or your city, and you're not doing it, you should be issued a ticket. I don't even care if there's an actual financial fine attached to it, just a ticket. So if you end up at the hospital with COVID and you have that ticket, you pay for your treatment 100%, including the test. There's my idea. Because it is absolutely ridiculous that people are taking to the streets with guns because the governments of their states are trying to contain an international pandemic. And I know I keep saying it, but I can't get past this nonsense. And I'm not sure who they think this helps politically. I mean, it might rally the crazies, but normal Republicans are not supporting them anywhere. So this is just rallying crazy people again. And that's what they are. Now, let's talk about the sexual abuse allegations against Vice President Biden. Now, you all know me, I'm a feminist, I believe women. I don't think people make this up. However, and I'm not defending him because he's the Democratic nominee or he's a Democrat. I'm defending him because I have to tell you, I worked in politics in the 90s, in the late 80s, around the time that this woman is claiming this incident occurred. Joe Biden was never one of these guys. I could name for you 10 or 12 Democrats and Republicans who were absolute pigs and who had affairs with interns, slept with all kinds of women, running around, doing whatever they wanted. Joe Biden was never one of these guys. No, but you never worried about Biden. He was not creepy. Now, all these people came forward, you know, the woman from Nevada who came forward and said that when he did a fundraiser for her, he apparently had his hands on her shoulder and he was smelling her hair, she said, and it made her uncomfortable. Okay. But then luckily, people who were at that rally came forward with pictures showing that she, after the rally, was hugging Vice President Biden from behind and taking selfies with him. So how uncomfortable were you? So we also know she was a Sanders supporter. All right, this woman's story is, and I'm sorry, but I know you've all heard it, so it's not a surprise. She's claiming that she was an intern in then Senator Biden's office, 1993. And she was bringing a gym bag to the senator. Now, and she was in the basement of the Capitol. Now, if anyone hasn't been to the basement of the Capitol, the basement of the Capitol actually has like a monorail system to get from the House and Senate office buildings to the Senate or the House. So it's an involved little tram system that runs. If a vote is called, senators or congressmen or women who are in their offices can get on the tram and they can get over to the floor in time to vote. That used to be open to the public. When I worked on Capitol Hill and around Capitol Hill and in politics, that was open to the public. The exception was if a roll call was being called, no one but members could get on the tram, and they would get them to wherever they needed to go really fast. But it's involved. It goes to each of the House office buildings. It goes to each of the Senate office buildings. So that's where she would have been. Now, I have to tell you that there aren't really secret caverns there. It's pretty open. It's an open hallway with the tram rail running right in the middle. So she claims she brought the bag to then Senator Biden, his gym bag. She says when she got to him, there was someone else with him. She never says who. And that person then left. Senator Biden, according to her, pushed her against the wall, putting his hands all over her, and actually digitally penetrating her with his fingers. Where was everyone? Those trams run constantly. he would have no idea when one of those little trains was going to come along. That would not be the place that you were going to assault someone in the Senate. Number one. Number two, again, Joe Biden was never one of those guys. I mean, I don't even recall ever seeing him at a party till late 90s, which is when his kids would have been older. Around that time, he was still going home to Delaware every night. So, not that couldn't happen, but I'm not seeing how. Now, the other problem is that he was in the Senate from that time till 2008, and she never said anything. He's running for vice president. They vetted him. She never said anything. Now, all of a sudden, in April, she's coming forward. Now, she came forward last year initially when that group of women said, oh, you know, he smelled my hair, and oh, he hugged me a little bit too long, whatever. And Biden is like that. But I have to tell you, he's not creepy. He's been turned into this caricature by some people, but he's not. So she comes forward, but even then, when the other women were talking about the smelling of the hair and all that, I'm obsessed with the smelling of the hair, as you can see. She doesn't ever say that he assaulted her. I mean, what she's describing is really a rape. So she never says anything then. She claims that she reported it to people in Biden's office, senior staff. Now, the one woman, Marianne Baker, I know her. And there is absolutely no way, if someone went to Marianne Baker and said, this is what the senator did, that she would not have been all over that, even in '93. There is no way. That woman is a feminist, and she's a professional. So she's saying, this was never brought to me. The other two guys who were senior, this was never brought to me. All right. Now, maybe one's lying, but everybody? So then she says that she did file a report with the Capitol Fair Employment Office, whatever, I don't remember the name of it, but it's where you filed an employment complaint if you worked on Capitol Hill. She says that, but yet no one's seen it. So now the other day, Vice President Biden said he did not do this, it did not happen. He authorized the release of the Senate records, for the personnel records, from the National Archives. Now, the right-wing media has jumped on this and said, well, he's not releasing his papers from the University of Delaware. But his Senate papers would not include personnel records. All right, so get that clear when you watch this, because this is going to play out. And they're acting like he's keeping something secret. I don't think he is. If a complaint was filed with that office on Capitol Hill, or even within his office, it would have gone to that office, it would be in the National Archives. That's where the personnel files are. Senators' personal papers do not include personnel files. Keep that clear when you're listening to all this. So now they're saying, oh, he's not going to release his Senate papers because there are probably conversations with foreign leaders, with other senators, with things that may or may not be secret at this point since he's running for president. This is not a new thing. When people run for president or higher office, it is very common that their personal files are embargoed. Mrs. Clinton did it. George W. Bush, his records from Texas. George H.W., all of them. Clinton's personal files from Arkansas. John McCain's Senate files. This is nothing new. This is not, again, you're going to hear that as though it's some kind of conspiracy. Even Bill Bradley, our senator, when he ran for president, they immediately locked down his Senate records. Now, but now it's a conspiracy. So she says she filed a complaint, but nobody seems to be able to find it. And now she says she didn't say that she was sexually assaulted. She said that she was she says in the report, she thinks, she said, she was sexually harassed and she was concerned about retaliation. Well, either you reported this or you didn't. And why is it so far nobody can find this report? If I had been raped in 1993 and filed a report, I would have kept a copy of that report. So did she report anything? Is everybody lying? I don't think so, and none of this has ever come out in any of his re-election, when he was running for president, vice president, president, nothing. We've never heard anything like this. And again, I'm going to tell you that working in politics during that time period, I never heard any word from anyone about Joe Biden acting inappropriately with women. He always had women on his staff, senior and junior. You don't see anybody ever coming out and saying, oh, I would never work for Joe Biden. You don't see any history of people just leaving his office. They stayed for years or went on to something else. And he has always been supportive of women. And that's nothing new. It's not since he's been a candidate. Never, 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 never. And I can tell you that people talk. If you're in campaigns or you're in politics, numerous times I would say to someone I knew, oh, so and so is looking for a campaign manager. I'm going to interview. They called me. One of the other women would always tell someone, just know he's a pig, or just know this. I used to do it too for people. If somebody would tell me, so-and-so's looking for a press secretary, you might not want to go there. This is common. Now, we didn't have email back then, but we definitely had a circle of friends and colleagues and acquaintances that if you were going on a campaign, if you heard anything, you would say, oh, what do you know about this one? What do you know about that one? It was word of mouth. Never, never, never have I ever heard one thing about Joe Biden. Never heard anything when he was vice president. Never heard anything when he was in the Senate. Nothing. And all of a sudden, this woman is claiming that he raped her in the Capitol basement. I absolutely do not believe this. And I hate that because I believe women and I don't think that people necessarily report something immediately. I think that it's probably very traumatic. People are concerned about getting a reputation that, oh, this is the one who reported this. And that's been the game for years. Look at what happened to Christine Blasey Ford when she accused Brett Kavanaugh. And Anita Hill, of course. So not necessarily, not coming out earlier isn't necessarily the whole problem here. It's the story doesn't make sense. And I had this conversation with someone the other night who also had worked in politics and knows Capitol Hill. And I said, where in hell would that have happened? If you're on the Senate side, it's not like I said, there's no caverns. And if he was going to assault someone, well, she was in his office. Why would you ever take the risk of throwing someone up against a wall, which is what she's saying happened, in what is a public area? At least it was then. Now, since 9/11, public is not allowed in the basement or in the trams or anything like that. But this is all way before 9/11. And it was open. There were always people down there. I can't remember even one time that I was down on either the Senate or the House side where there were a bunch of people, because some people don't even take the trams, but it's quicker to go even walking if you're going from the Capitol building to an office. They would walk along the train side. It's like 2 walkways on both sides. So there's never not people there. There weren't. Ever. Even security guards were there at the time. There's always someone in those hallways. And certainly that was absolutely true in 1993. So I'm just not buying this. And I have a feeling when everything is said and done, we're going to see some right-wing fingerprints on this, because they love creating like a false equivalency, and they love saying, oh, well, see, they did it too. And even Trump already said, oh, you know, Joe, you should defend yourself against this. Well, that's because Trump actually has done stuff like this. I do not believe that Joe Biden did this. So I hope I'm right. I'm almost positive that I'm right. But I hope that this dies quickly. And if she filed a complaint, I would like to see it. So that's all I got today. Stay safe, stay well, stay healthy. Stay in your apartments where you can, when you can. Wear a mask. I miss you, we miss you. Hopefully this will be over soon. I say that every week now. If there's anything you want, anything you need, please call me. If there's some programming or a movie you want, I just ordered a couple movies from some people who called me. I can, whatever I can get, I will. I hope you're enjoying the other stuff we're running. Believe it or not, it is more work than normal. And we have Kim Breeden's doing another thing. You have Clint, Paul Simeone you had, and who else is doing something for us? I think Rabbi Glazer's doing something for us too. Some of you may know him. He used to come here and then he retired. So I'm trying to get some familiar faces for you. See you soon. Bye.